meet my bride. Let's go for a ride in my newfangled automobile. Just where we will go, nobody knows, but it's sure a great way to feel. Behind the wheel of the speed meter steel, it's my newfangled automobile.
Hello and welcome to Vintage Car History. I'm Wild Bill. A while ago, I gave my wife a challenge. If you had access to an automotive historian and could ask only one question, what would you ask? Well, she slept on it, and the next day she presented her question. Who invented the car? A simple yet brilliant question. Well, that's why I married her. Yet the answer is a very complicated matter. So let's dive into the question, who invented the car? When it comes to categorizing wheeled vehicles, what makes something a true car needs to be established. And here at Vintage Car History, we have 4 specific criteria that must be met for a vehicle to be declared a car. If any one of them are not fully met, it isn't a car. Here they are. First, the vehicle must have its own mode of motive power fully contained on board the vehicle. This means that vehicles pulled by something else, like wagons or trailers, are not cars. Also, wind power is not fully contained in the vehicle and is also disqualified. Oh, by the way, in the Middle Ages, when large ocean-going sailing ships became a regular thing, wind power was tried on land using both sails and kites. It was quickly discovered that unlike the open ocean, where you can tack back and forth to get where you're going regardless of the wind direction, on land, things like rocks, trees, wandering cows, buildings, and other such made using the wind on land unviable. Also, solar power in modern usage does qualify as a proper power source for cars, since the motive power is the electric motor and not the sun specifically. It is simply an electric car. Second, it must be able to operate on roads or open ground. This makes trains and locomotives not cars. Yes, there are train cars, but that's a different industry. A car doesn't need a special track to run on. You can drive it on any basic road or even open pasture. Well, in theory you can. In any case, to be a car, you do not have to build a special track to operate it on. Thirdly, the vehicle must be designed for personal transport. True, cars can be used commercially today. Taxis, Uber, DoorDash, and other ventures can make a car profitable. But cars are not built to haul lots of passengers or cargo. That's what vans, trucks, and buses are for. Cars are designed to perform small personal transportation tasks. Note that toys are not cars. You can't use one of your childhood Hot Wheels for personal transport. And finally, for a vehicle to be a car, the entire operation of the thing, from starting to driving to stopping to shutting it down, must not take more than one person to do. Any task involved with the safe operation of the vehicle can be done solo if it's a car. If it takes 2 or more people to perform any of the vehicle's operating procedure, it's not a car. With all of that said, let's look into the question of who invented the fool thing. To be honest about it, we have to divide the question into its components. First, who came up with the idea? Were they the inventor? Or is it who first came up with a working plan? Or who made the first model? Or who first actually built one? It's a long trail, so let's start going down it. Having a powerful vehicle for personal transportation is a common theme in ancient and classical mythology. Be it a magic chariot, shimmering cloud, floating disc, or whatever means, the idea of a car is an old one. And who first came up with it really can't be nailed down to an individual. But the technology to create a real car started very early on. A simple steam turbine engine was built in the 1st century AD, though it was not used for a vehicle. And an actual motor vehicle was designed and built by Ferdinand Verbiest in the 17th century. He was a Flemish Jesuit priest who served at the court of the Kangxi Emperor, and in 1672 built a small steam-powered vehicle as a toy for the Chinese Emperor. Using a basic steam turbine, the little car would go in circles in the palace square for about a half an hour before it ran out of steam. It was not a car, it was a toy, and could not actually carry a person. But it is the first motor vehicle to appear in the historical record. The 18th century would see the first motor vehicle that could actually carry a person. In 1769, a French army officer named Nicolas Cugnot designed and built what he called a gun tractor. It was not a car. It was designed for military use to haul guns on and off a battlefield, but it was ingenious nonetheless. The world's first high-pressure steam engine, twin-cylinder, and that powered the front wheel through a ratchet system. Top speed was about walking pace, and it could operate for about 15 minutes on a head of steam before it would have to stop and build up more heat. The 19th century began with motor vehicles becoming commonplace. Richard Trevithick built his Puffing Devil in 1801, which was not a car. It was not designed for personal use, but it did lead to the locomotive, which, though not cars, became a major force in the Industrial Revolution. While trains were being developed and built, steam coaches began to appear on the roads of Britain and Europe in the 1820s. These were not cars, as they were commercial vehicles, and most of them required more than one person to operate. Making a vehicle small and simple enough to be a true car didn't come about until the 1870s. Nicholas Otto was a German inventor, and he developed the four-stroke gas engine. One of the men working with him, Siegfried Marcus, put an engine on a vehicle in 1867, and it was almost a car. The fact that it took two people to get it going, since the car had no clutch, kept it from being a true car. However, by 1875, Marcus did build a proper gas-powered car. But for him, it was just a novelty. He had no interest in actually making cars. But he showed it to a friend of his, Carl Benz, and Benz was intrigued. Benz was himself a keen inventor. He invented the two-stroke engine. And in 1885, Benz built his car, and it would be the first car to be patented, the patent issued in 1886. So there was at least one internal combustion-powered car in existence in 1875. Electric cars came soon after. In 1881 saw both Thomas Parker in England and Gustave Trouvé in France build electric cars, and that technology developed quickly. Indeed, the first world land speed records were set by electric cars. Steam cars also came about at that time, the first true steam car being built by Didion Bouton in 1883. Who invented the car? It was lots of people. Marcus, Parker, Benz, Bouton, and their work was based on those that came before them. By 1886, cars that fit all of the criteria to be a car were on the road. Marcus did build the first true car, but it was Benz that made the first production car that was powered by gas in 1885. Didion Bouton was the first to make a production steam car in 1883, and production electric cars were available by 1882. And things just kept rolling from there. Thanks for watching Vintage Car History, and we'll see you next week. Peace.